Pirates tells the story of three North London boys
That's us.
on the eve of the new millennium. The world may be changing,
The last time things are going to be the way they were.
but the only thing that matters to them on this night is raving in their Mosh and Averex scarves, Moschino, and of course, Is Pirates an accurate depiction of the late 90s and early 2000s garage era in London?
Getting into that party is the only thing that matters.
Feel free to like and subscribe. Scrap that. Feel excited to like and subscribe, and let's find out. Pirates, in a nutshell, is a love letter to the late 90s, early 2000s garage music era in London. Told through the depiction of three 18-year-old friends on the verge of change. The gang, Capo, Two-Tone and Kidda, have grown up together. They may be going their own way in life, but tonight they're partying like it's 1999. Literally. The only thing that matters is getting tickets into Club Coliseum in the right arms by any means necessary, and Two-Tone getting with Sophie. Right off the bat, I can tell you Pirates is a depiction of our era. Exennials from London. Even though it took artistic liberties with history, or artistic license as it were, this conjured up the spirit of that time period. Main example, which is what I saw from the trailer, is you got three dudes wearing off-key mosh, as we used to call it. So, Pattern Moschino, north of the river we used to call it off-key mosh. South of the river they used to call it crazy mosh, yeah? I know, I lived in north and south, innit? Pattern Moschino was a fashion late 96, 97, early 98. It was more the end of the jungle scene than garage, yeah?
Jungle Club, you could wear what you want. You know, you could wear the Moschino and Armani and the iceberg jumpers. And
so Averex's first come through in 99. The coolest dudes that were rocking AVs in 99, they were done with mosh by 98. They were finished. Early 98, they would have been finished with mosh. You would not have got a dude rocking a fresh Averex with pattern mosh. Averexes were in their apex in the So Solid era of garage music, i.e. 2000, 2001. I can show you all the footage from So Solid raves in 2001. Asher D, Romeo, these men are all rocking Averexes, bruv. So taking all of that on board, the way Pirates cinematically tells the story of these three organic characters, these three dudes, you don't really care if it feels like Reggie Yates is smudging different eras together. The camaraderie, the friendship, the natural chemistry that these three kids have.
I'm starting the year 2000 at twice as flipping nice with my best mates. You want the same thing, right?
I do. I'm in.
Me, as an older dude who lived through it, I can put all of that to one side when I see three kids that come off as organic. From a narrative perspective, you've got the story taking place in one day, New Year's Eve of 99. They're playing Lady Dynamite, Boo in IUN. I'm like, bruv, that come out the second half of 2000 and it was a banger in 2001. So why are they making a film set in 99 playing Lady Dynamite? What Yates is doing is bringing different aspects of his upbringing, and for the most part, it does pay off. There's jungle playing in the background at certain points. You got Simply Red playing in the background at one point. It's done in a cinematic way. Like, do you get me? He's taking different components from our upbringing and putting it into the pot, stirring it, and it works. When it's the backdrop to a narrative of three up-and-coming youths being hell-bent on having a wicked millennium night in an era where social media and modern video games as an alternative to nightlife simply was not an alternative. Getting back to the chemistry of the three youth them, you got the man like Two-Tone, man like Kidda, the one Capo. Initially, I've got to say, I thought I was going to find them obnoxious. I thought they were going to be a bunch of Gen Z digital natives saying fam this and fam that, bringing their Instagram mindset to our era. I have to tell you, I found them pleasantly unobnoxious. You know what, these men could have been born in 80, 81, 82. Their little garage crew, the way they were MCing, that's not spitting bars to grime or drill. That was MCing, as we used to call it. They were garage MCing. They were going, yes, yes, later, fully off-key mosh. These lot get it. Like, Reggie Yates has prepped them very well. These lot are coming with 1999 MCing, garage MCing. Later, we sound greater. How everybody was MCing in 99 was, we'd grown up listening to Skibbity on Jungle.
Set this on the ball while you're higher, but I might get no liar, deal with the matter.
Deal with it proper. And then slowed it down to a garage speed. That's how these kids were MCing. You're bringing our era back on screen. So I got to big up Reggie Yates on that level. He's publicly been saying garage music is criminally forgotten or it's underrated. Grime came out of garage and it's lasted. It's more lyrics based, right? But garage was a more universal music. You got to remember, garage come out of American house music. They started playing US house in London. Then DJs started making their own garagey tunes, house garage tunes with a more London sound. It built up. Everyone started jumping off from jungle to garage because it was slower. It was more like house music. There was more you could do with it. You could have the vocals. It was more eclectic, for lack of a better word. Garage became the dominant London underground music, yeah, taking over from hardcore and jungle, house, whatever was house and garage at that time. Garage was a commercial scene and an underground scene simultaneously. That's the thing that people forget. To use some big sexy words, there was a symbiotic relationship between underground garage and commercial garage, and for a while it was reciprocal. It played off one another. The symbiosis. Yeah, we're talking about the symbiosis of underground and commercial. In terms of basic reverence for a scene that is no more, Reggie Yates is absolutely right when he says it's played down. You better believe that scene has been underrated and downplayed. I'm almost 40 now, yeah? If you're my age, you have to understand garage was more than a music scene. It was more than like a rave scene. It was a way of life. Nokia phones, chirpsing girls, Air Max trainers, Averex jackets. You'd watch MTV Base and you listen to the pirate radio stations and you'd be like, well, I can do it too. Those kids.
Getting into that party is the only thing that matters. Yes!
Bruv, this is the magic of that film, yeah? They're just 3 regular kids. They are not balling with money. All they need to do is get a little bit of bling for the rave and that's it, bruv. Whereas a few years later with the guest list scene, everyone's trying to act like they're rappers. You got the masses trying to emulate the elite. Garage was not that. Considered bougie compared to previous scenes, but it was not. So I'm saying Garage was one of the last times where, as a young youth from London, you don't have to pretend on social media that you're 50 Cent just to pull a girl.
I love how democratizing the internet is.
It wasn't this bad bees, only rap stars can date me because I'm a bad bee. Go away.
I love how...
Go away. Let me tell you why I was a bit sensitive to this film going into it. That film takes place in the very, very end of the analog era, just before the digital era. This is one of the last eras where everything wasn't documented. These were some of my best years, but I don't even have that many. I hardly have any photos from that era. Just before everything became digital, smartphones, this, that, and the third. Literally months before we all started to get camera phones and start documenting everything.
Camera phone, the autograph of the 21st century.
Go away. We get MySpace, we get Facebook. Everything starts getting documented just a few short years afterwards. You can't go on the internet and research that. You have to have lived through it. When he's in the queue and he's talking to the girl and he's like, oh, it's couples only. I don't remember in garage raves, oh, it's couples only. If you're a dude, you've got to go in with a girl. That was more guest list times. It's different eras smudged together. The garage scene still had the euphoria of 90s club scenes. How can you have that and then a few years later you've got stupid guest list clubs? Go away. But I can say Reggie Yates smacked it, yeah? Reggie Yates, he did not disrespect the era. Do you know why? Because he lived through that era. The scene where they go to Probito and nick the mosh, steal the Moschino, the way he handled the scene, the filmic techniques he used, you're like, oh, this works, bruv, this works. Because it's not like they're going in there, bad man, balaclava, punching people up and nicking the mosh. People used to go into the changing room, put on the Moschino, then put their own clothes over it and run out. There's a youthful euphoria to getting away with nicking. We were all young once, innit? Another thing that I was a bit worried about but worked for me was the Uncle Ibs character. In the trailer he says, "Go them." And I thought he was going to be talking proper, like full-on modern London accent, rude boy, MLE, whatever. Whereas people from that generation
got down to Oval, £20 or £10.
They still chatted more Cockney, not Cockney per se, but closer to a more traditional London sounding accent. When I actually saw the film, he is sounding more old school London accent rather than more modern rude boy accent. And Reggie Yates with this, he didn't just make it a case of, oh well, if 99 was 2021. He got that right, where I thought, just from the bit where he goes, Gallin. Overall, Pirates does depict our era accurately, despite certain liberties being taken here and there. This was as accurate as you're going to get 20 plus years after the fact. Pirates wins on charm.
Plantain. Where you find that on a mountain?
As a love letter to our era and the music scene that has in part been forgotten. The ending falls flat narrative wise, but overall that comes second to what comes first. Pirates was clearly made with love and passion from someone who lived throughout that era. My rating, I'm giving Pirates as a film a 7. But in terms of representing our era, in terms of the love and the reverence and the respect for our era, Pirates gets a 9.2. It was a bit too short. I don't know why it's an hour and 20 minutes. At least make it an hour and a half. With that being said, the actual ending was a perfect send-off. It was made with love. I'm overall giving it a 7. If you made it this far, thank you very much. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.